Hey folks, it's Tommy Z back again with another short video, and today I'm going to talk about the thing that made the biggest difference in my career as a full-time musician. And this thing is not even a thing, okay? It is a factor. And that factor that made all the difference as I thought long and hard about my career as a full-time musician is people. Think about it, folks. Nothing happens in your life without other people. Nothing happens in life and in your work without other people. I know this might sound simplistic, it might sound underwhelming, but believe me folks, there are certain foundational things that you must always keep on top of your mind that will make the biggest difference in your career. As musicians, we're easily distracted. We're creative people. We often lose perspective. We often dwell on certain things that don't actually make a difference. For example, we think that having the latest gear, we think that having the fanciest studio, we think that having a diploma from a prestigious musical school, we think that having talent and skill is the things that are going to make a difference. And you know what? They are necessary. They are foundational, as in you have to be able to create great music. You have to have some kind of a setup, whether it's a laptop or a full-blown studio, whatever it is that you need to make the magic happen. You have to have the knowledge and the skill. You have to know how to operate your gear, how to bring things to life, songs, scores, or sounds, right? And you have to have the talent, no doubt about it. But all of those things actually do not make the difference in the end. You know what makes the difference? You know what brings all those things, the studio, the skills, and all of your musical knowledge to life? Other people, relationships. That is what makes all of those things come alive. That is what puts all of those things to work. Without relationships, it doesn't matter what kind of gear you have. It doesn't matter what kind of diploma you have. It doesn't matter what kind of a talent or musical skill set you have. It just doesn't matter. Take a look at Hollywood. How do film directors pick their music composers? Do you think they pick them because they have a fancy studio, or because they looked at their resume and saw a prestigious musical school, or because of their remarkable skill? You might say, well, sure, they choose them based on skill, but it ain't so, my friends. Why? Because all musical composers in Hollywood are skilled. They're all on top of their game. They all have fancy studios. Some of them have fancy music education, but that's never been necessary to create magic. Just take a look at Danny Elfman, who never went to music school. I heard he doesn't even know how to read music, and yet the guy scored like, 200 Hollywood films? So it's none of those things that actually make a difference in how famous film directors choose their composers. They choose them because of relationships. Friends, we are not selling vacuum cleaners. We are not selling real estate. We are not selling things with features. Those things and their features are quite easy to judge. I mean, you look at a list of features and you decide, is this the features that I want, and is this how much I'm willing to pay for it? But in our business, we're not selling things. What we are selling is our soul. Now, that might sound funny, but that's actually what you're bringing into the process, right? You are bringing your soul, your style, your sensibility, your way of being, and your way of making things. That's what you are, quote unquote, selling. Actually, without a relationship, without vibes, without frequency, without connection between you and the person that you're making music for, you actually don't have anything. So what we're actually in the business of is sharing our soul, our style, our sensibility with our collaborators. They will choose to work with the kind of people that they feel they can create magic with, right? We are not making vacuum cleaners. We're not building things. We are creating magical musical moments. And now there is no blueprint for creating magic. There is no process. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But the only way I know how to maximize my chances of creating magic is to be in the room with someone that I share the same frequency with, that I have a connection with, that I have a great relationship with. And this is why I am saying that the nature of your relationships is going to make the difference in the kind of work, the quality quality of the work that you produce and the amount of the work that you produce. The more relationships that you have that are trustworthy, that are full of those vibes, connection, mutual love, the more relationships like that you have, the more opportunities you have in your music career. It's pretty simple. The other thing about relationships is that it's actually very difficult to compete with a relationship. Now, I can compete with you when it comes to studio gear. I can go out and spend more. I can compete with you when it comes to studio space. I can buy or furnish or even hire a fancier music studio than what you have. I can go to a fancier music school. I can even be more talented and more skillful than you. And guess what? In the end, still, that's not going to be the determining factor in your success as a musician. God knows there are plenty of musicians out there who are not the most talented, and yet they're making an amazing career in this business. Why? This is because they took time to nurture, to create the relationships, and this is where all of their opportunities come from. It's quite a simple concept, right? Now, the other thing I want to say about relationships is that I'm sure there are people out there who are, like, you see them as being up here. These are the kind of folks you want to work with, and they are on a higher level, and you really want to connect with them. The thing I want to say about that is that you need to spend as much time elevating yourself as a person, your sensibility, your taste, your skill, things that make you smart, interesting, insightful. You want to spend as much time developing that as you do in developing, let's say, your musical gear, your studio, or even your skill. Because what's going to make you connect with those kind of folks who are on the next level is by being a next level kind of person yourself. Like attracts like. So if you want to hang with the best in the business, if you want to hang with the most talented, let's say, film directors, and you want to be creating magic with them, you really need to bring something to the conversation so that when you contact these people and when you actually have sit down with them and you have a coffee and a handshake and a conversation, they simply enjoy the conversation with you. They don't see you as somebody who's irritating, annoying, or doesn't bring anything into the conversation. Those kind of folks want to be inspired, right? We are creative people. We are craftspeople. We are artists. We seek inspiration all the time. This is how we work. We're not writing spreadsheets all day in some cubicle, right? Our work is to move human beings, is to be inspired ourselves. And this is what every smart collaborator, whether it's in the music business or in the film business, they seek to surround themselves with the kind of souls that inspire them, that bring something to the conversation. And so you want to spend as much time as possible reading and consuming the kind of stuff that's going to elevate not just your craft, but yourself as a person. Now, how do you build those relationships? A lot of musicians, especially the younger guys who are just starting out, they always tell me that they hate to sell. They just want to make the music. Look, the more you build your own network and your relationships, the less likely it's going to be that you ever have to work for someone. Do you understand? You're going to be creating your own opportunities by creating your own relationships. That's what you want to strive for. And the reason why you find it difficult to, as you put it, sell or to contact other people is because you have the wrong perspective. And this is something that I used to struggle with when I first got into the business. The perspective was that every email I wrote, every call I made to a stranger that I wanted to work with felt like an immense high pressure situation. It was like life and death. And there's a famous quote by a basketball coach named John Wooden who said, if you treat every game like a life or death situation, for one thing, you'll be dead a lot. And so that kind of approach, that kind of attitude toward contacting people you don't know, putting high pressure on yourself is really going to make you tired. And in the end, it's going to make you avoid making those calls. So the answer to that, the way to overcome that is actually to look at relationships in a whole new different way. You are not chasing projects. What you're doing is starting relationships with people. So it's simply as if you were calling somebody who you liked, right? Who you found out about and you liked and you wanted to become their friend. It's really that simple. Your first step is not to land a project. Your first step is just to get your email answered. One email out of many, many thousands of emails that you're going to exchange with this person over decades of working together. That's how you got to look at it. This is not a sprint after a project. This is a long marathon. that's going to build the relationship. So summing up, folks, the most important thing in my life as a full-time music producer has been people. All of my work, all of my opportunity has come not because I have the fancy studio. I don't have a fancy studio. And you know what? I didn't even finish music school. I don't have a musical education. The reason why I have been able to survive and succeed in this business, because I care about the people that I work with. I love connecting with them. I am inspired by them, and I try to inspire them in return. And at the end of the day, I guess my musical skill, the setup that I have, all the resources that I bring to the table answer the problems of all of my clients. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep working with me. But the X factor, the thing that makes the biggest difference, is our relationship, the chemistry we have, the frequency we share. That's very hard to compete with. And I urge you to make that your X factor in your music career. It's all about relationships. Starting today, I want you to reach out to at least one stranger that you would like to collaborate with, that you haven't connected with yet. Invite them for a coffee, have a conversation, forget about projects, forget about expectations. Your only criteria for the first meeting is just to see if you vibe, okay? There is no pressure. If you don't vibe, nothing's gonna happen anyway. And if you vibe, something will happen for sure. Build your relationship. It's gonna make all the difference. My name is Tommy Z, and I will see you in the next video.